Say, hey, Kayla.
Hey, y'all.
Go to the basement. At least you look pretty. You're not in your robe. Good morning, guys. We're going to let people join before they're not here yet. There they are. Becky, me too. I sleep so much better being cool. I cannot sleep on a heating pad. Heating blanket. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, Shannon. Good morning. I'm getting ready for Julie Pappin. She's making her debut here at Sneed's Farmhouse today. So I got to get ready for Julie Pappin. Julie and Chris are coming to Sneed's Farmhouse today. You got a commercial. Oh, you mean it's because, y'all, I have figured out, finally, how to put commercials in my lives. It's taken me a year to figure out, but I thought, okay, y'all got just a minute. Tell Julie Pappin to be safe, and I love her, and I can't wait to see her. Let me explain the whole commercial thing. I thought that you had to go into settings and create the commercials for the videos. And Karen did too, but that is not correct. I have figured that out. What you have to do is I have to go into each individual video. So I have figured it out. Thank you, Andale Homestead, for teaching me how to put commercials in my video. So just to let you know, if you're seeing a commercial before you start, you should see it probably before you start coming on. I'm not really sure. It's supposed to be in the beginning. No, it said, I can't remember where I put it because I did it when I first uploaded my StreamYard. But you're supporting me when you see the commercials. So please know that. So Mary, you saw the commercial for the first time? Yeah, I finally figured out how to do it. It's taken me a minute, but I have finally figured out how to do it. But you may not like the commercials, but y'all, we gotta buy feed around here, okay? Ugh, I got a frog in my throat. Good. It's right before you come on. So if you guys are on YouTube and you were on here before I went live, did it come on when I went live? I'm still learning. Scared the crap out of you. You had a 45-minute commercial the other day, Mary. Mary, skip through that, honey. Yay! I finally have figured out how to do the commercials. Okay. Karen, after this video's over, if you message me, I'll teach you how to do it. Because we've been trying to figure it out. So I meant to tell you, Karen, that I figured it out, but I wasn't sure it was going to work. My glasses are off. So, what did you say? Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't think they can. I see, Karen, I can set it up where they can't skip. Y'all, it is thundering and raining here again today. So, Julie Pappin, I hope you have your rain boots and your rain jacket because it is raining. And I have 9 people coming to tour this morning, but it is not going to happen because it is pouring down raining. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, went out there to check on Dee Dee, and she's just, her and Dexter just sitting out there in the pasture. So there's no baby this morning. So please know that. When the vet came, well, I need to wait. The guys on YouTube are going to see the vet come on Saturday because that's when my video comes out. So I'll just tell you a little bit. The baby is moving. The baby has one head, okay? The baby is not in position yet as of yesterday. That can change within an hour. Like, just because it wasn't when he went in her to check her doesn't mean that she ain't going into labor for a couple of days. that baby can change within an hour. So it doesn't mean anything, but the baby is moving. The baby is fine. Dee Dee is fine. Some of y'all have been so concerned. She looks miserable. Every 9-month pregnant woman, whether it's an animal or a human being, we're all miserable. That is just what happens with pregnancy. As a matter of fact, you know how God talks about in the Bible about women being in labor pain, like, you know what I mean? It happens to all of us. Am I going to breed Dee Dee again? Y'all, you know how when you have your first baby and you're in labor, like in the hospital pushing, you think in your head, I will never do this again, because it is like terrible pain, or you had to have a C-section, or like in the moment, you're like, I will never do this again. I literally cannot breathe. Like when you're in the hospital pushing, that's what you think. And then when the baby gets here and you go home, you're like, this is the most beautiful thing in the whole wide world. I'm ready for another baby. You know how we do that as women? Okay. I think an animal does the same thing. Dee Dee, all my animals absolutely love being a mom. I'm not sure about Shishi, but all the animals, if y'all could be on a farm, like my chickens and ducks right now are so freaking broody. Broody means they are all sitting in a nest wanting to be moms. And those jokers, if I took the eggs from them and go, oh no, you're not being a mom, we are not having a bunch of ducks on my farm, they will literally sit in the nest on absolutely nothing, wanting to be moms. And they have to sit in a nest. For my Muscovy ducks sit in the nest for 34 days. Tell me how miserable that mama is, sitting on eggs for 34 days in a hot coop, not getting up to pee, poop, or eat or drink a duck. That's how bad they want to be a mom. So if you're concerned, you're like, oh God, she looks miserable. Please tell me you're not going to do this again. I need you to go back to when you were pregnant, 9 months pregnant, and you were in that stage where, oh my God, I have got heartburn. I freaking can't move. I can't sleep. I've got to sleep in this recliner. This sucks. I will never do this again. To, oh my God, this is the best baby. I'm ready to have another one. You get me? Okay, so know that. Let's talk about yesterday, because I did a short about me having anxiety. Okay. Yesterday I had a field trip. Anxiety, when I have a field trip, the anxiety starts the night before. And I sit here and I'm like, I sent Kayla a message and I said, can I just run down and tell you all the anxiety I have? I was like, let me just say it. I'm like, because it's been raining. And I said, I'm having anxiety about the parents parking in my field because it's not concrete, it's grass. And I was like, I'm having anxiety about the parents parking in the field with it being wet. I'm scared they're going to get stuck. I'm having anxiety about it. I'm having anxiety because everything is so wet from all this rain, and I'm scared the kids are not going to have a good time. I was like, I'm having anxiety because the vet told me that Dee Dee had to be in the barn in order for her to do an exam. Like, me and the vet can't go out there and herd her into the barn. That she's got to be in the barn when he gets in. And I'm like, I'm having anxiety because I'm afraid that I can't get Dee Dee in the barn. And I'm having anxiety because Dee Dee never gets locked into the barn and she's pregnant. And I'm having anxiety that she's going to stress out. And I'm having anxiety that I can't get her in the barn. It's like, this was the night before. And I was like, I'm having anxiety. What else did I have anxiety over? It was like multiple things. So the anxiety started Wednesday night. So then I lay in the bed with anxiety and I'm like, okay, let's break it down. No, I'm let me back up. So when I went to go feed the animals, I was talking to Chris on the phone, Chris Mealy, that's here, that's a moderator. And he goes, Julie Pappin, which is his wife, is so good about making a list. She can help us make a list on things that we need to do with Sneed's Farmhouse. So I was sitting there and I was like, Julie Pappin makes a list. So I need to make a list so that I don't sit here and have anxiety. So I was like, what would I put on the list first? I said, okay, when I go feed the animals tonight, after everyone eats their supper, Dee Dee always waits for Leroy to come out of the barn to see if he left any leftovers. And I was like, okay, I can put that on the list that when Dee Dee goes in there to see if Leroy has any leftovers, I can shut the gate the night before. So it worked. I was able to get Dee Dee in the barn the night before, and I was like, cha-ching, that list worked. So then that was one thing less that I had to worry about when I was going to bed. So listen, we all need to be like Julie Pappin when we have anxiety and make a list of what is bothering us, like what is giving us anxiety, and make a list and check it off one at a time. And I was like thinking in my head, okay, I was having anxiety about that. I fixed that problem. So I called Kayla and I was like, hey, guess what? Dee Dee is in the barn. I said, the only problem is she's in the wrong stall because she was in the head catch is in the third stall. Dee Dee was in the second stall. But I knew, when you think about people being on your farm, children, and there's a cow about to bust out of the barn, like I was just worried about Dee Dee just being ticked off that she was in the barn locked up because she's bougie and she don't get locked in the barn. I was just worried a little bit about everything. But I took a breath and I was like, okay, Judy, you have got to get some sleep tonight and let all these worries just give it to God, because it's all going to work out. It always does. So I was able to sleep. And get through the night. Well, then I woke up with anxiety. I'm like, dang. Like I thought he was gone and here it is again. So I was out there with Kayla and I was like, Lord, my anxiety is kicked in high gear again. And I did a reel and I told you guys I had anxiety. And y'all started commenting, break it down, Judy, break it down. And I was like, break it down, break it down. Like, I was just like, okay, Judy, you got this. So I want you to know, to all the people that told me when in that reel on YouTube, when you told me to break it down, I almost forgot to break it down. I was like, man, I'm sitting here and preach to people to break it down, and here I am forgotten to break it down. So thank you for the reminder to help me break it down, because it made me stop what I was doing and go, what the heck is wrong with me? What the heck is wrong with me? And I'll tell you, a lot that was bothering me was about this weekend, because this weekend is our meet and greet. And the meet and greet is roughly, I'm just guessing, it's probably an hour and 20 minutes away from my house. Well, Shane told me he had to work. So I was like, okay, now Shane's not going with me to the meet and greet. And I was thinking in my head, I have to leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, let me just let y'all know that when you're a farm person, you don't get the day off to do your animals in the morning. And Dee Dee has not spit out this calf yet. And I thought, what am I going to do? Like, I want to go to this meet and greet, but I don't want to leave Dee Dee here by herself. And then I didn't want to leave Larry by himself. And I was like, I cannot go an hour and a half away and leave Larry and Dee Dee by herself. And Shane is going to have to work. And I was having anxiety because I was thinking that I was not going to be able to go to the meet and greet. I work hard on social media. I work real hard. And I don't get away from my house very often. And so when I'm able to stop what I'm doing for a minute and actually get away, it's like, it's kind of a release for me a little bit. So I was looking forward to going to the great meet and greet. And so I was having anxiety because I was feeling like I was not going to be able to leave Larry. And I know you're probably saying, take him with you. But what happens with Larry is he sleeps a lot. He's very fatigued. He has oxygen. He's on oxygen full time now. And I don't think he can handle sitting from 6 o'clock in the morning till 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night. He cannot do that. He's not strong enough. So I've been having anxiety about it. And so, you know how sometimes with your spouse, you're like, sometimes I feel like I need to say this to Shane. I'm like, listen, I'm fixing to say something and I need to tell you what you need to say to me. You ever do that? So I was like, I think next time I'm literally going to say that. This is what I should say to Shane. Shane, he don't understand the word anxiety, I don't think. But I should say, Shane, I'm having anxiety. Now, I didn't do this. This is what I said I should say. Shane, I am having anxiety about leaving Larry and leaving Dee Dee and you having to work. So this is what I need you to say to me when I say this to you. Shane, what I need you to say to me is, Judy, I know how important this meet and greet is to you. Can you see Shane saying this? Judy, honey, I know how important this meet and greet is to you. And I will call my job and tell them that I'm not going to be able to work because I need to stay home and take care of Larry and Dee Dee. Baby girl, you don't worry about this farm and you don't worry about Larry. I want you and Kayla to go and have a good time. That's what I needed to hear. Instead, I hear, I'm not sure, Judy. I don't know if I'm going to be here or not. I can't guarantee. And I was like, that's not what I need to hear. Stop. Pause. I need you to tell me that Larry and Dee Dee are going to be okay and I'm able to leave my farm. And he was not saying that to me because he didn't know if he could do that. But that's not what I needed to hear. Do y'all ever feel like that you need to coach your spouse and go, okay, I'm fixing to say something and I need you to say this back to me because this is what I need. You know what I'm saying? You know how, like, in our heads, we plant this expectation of what we need the other person to say. And when they don't meet our needs and say what we need them to hear, we have disappointment. So he said to me yesterday, he said, Judy, I'm staying home. And I was like, praise Jesus. It only took you like a week to tell me that. I've sat here and had anxiety forever. And he was like, Judy, I'm going to stay home. And I will take care of Larry. And if I need, Shane knows how to pull a calf, by the way. And he was like, if I need to pull this calf, I'll pull it. He pulled Cinco with the vet. Remember that? So I was like, and even sometimes when you're real needy, you know how you get real needy and it's so extra. Like when he said, I'm going to stay home with Larry and Dee Dee. It's like sometimes when you're real extra and you're real needy and you have anxiety and you need your husband to say a certain thing to you and you need your husband to hug you and say it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need them to butter it up to make you feel better. Like, honey, you work so hard. I see you. I see you work so hard. And you're like, Judy, you are so extra. Stop it. Like, stop it. When you start feeling yourself needing those certain things from a friend or a spouse, you've got to recognize that neediness and go, this is so silly. Like, this is silly. This is silly. You need to stop it, Judy. Because a lot of times we don't recognize that we're so needy from our spouse and it gets ridiculous. It gets absolutely ridiculous. So, to make a long story short, Shane is staying home with Dee Dee and Larry and allowing me to go with Kayla to the meet and greet. So, I will be there. I told Kayla yesterday, I said, hey, because it's so far from my house, I said, Kayla, I really want to stay in a hotel. So Kayla, Shane and I stayed in a hotel last April. And it was so nice because I didn't have to get up and hurry and all that stuff. And in September, Shane's not a stay in the hotel kind of guy. He wants to be home. And so we didn't in September, and I hated it. So I told Kayla yesterday, since it's just going to be Kayla and I was thinking, oh, girls' night out. We have fun. You know what I'm saying? So I said, Kayla, let's get a hotel room. I was like, so we don't have to be all stressed out and crap. So yesterday we called one hotel and they were booked, which I kind of figured they would be because Petals from the Past the antique is a real big event. So I figured people come from all over, not to meet me, but to meet Jason and Brooke. Okay. I'm just the person that, and it's okay. Like, it's okay. But what Jason and Brooke is the funniest thing, y'all. If y'all could come to Petals from the Past, Jason and Brooke have like a 3-mile line and nobody else has anybody in line. And so when the people go to Jason and Brooke, and they go say hey and take a picture with them, then they just kind of walk by the other booths and say hey. It's so funny. Jason and Brooke are the celebrities. But anyway, we called a hotel and they were booked. And I was like, dang. So then we called another hotel and they had some availability. And so Kayla left to go pick up her daughter from school. And they told me the hotel room was $259. And I was like, $259? Are you serious? Now, it's been a minute since I've had a hotel room, but I had no idea. I mean, what happened to the $79 hotel? I mean, what? And so I was like, Kayla, I cannot afford to spend $200, and considering I just paid a vet bill yesterday, I said, I really can't afford to spend $259 on a stupid hotel room. So then I was like disappointed. And I was like, Kayla, we can't spend the night. We're going to have to drive at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and stay there all day and then come home and put up animals. But I was really disappointed. And I guess I could, bite the bullet and spend the money. But I was just like, I've got to buy hay. I've got to do a hay barn. I can't spend this extra money just to have a girls' night out. You know what I mean? You know how you do that as an adult? Sometimes you're just like, I can't do that. So Kayla and I will drive a Saturday morning to Petals from the Past. But at least I get to go. So basically, all this anxiety that I was building up went absolutely nowhere. it just caused me anxiety, and it caused me stress, and it was so unnecessary. And many times when you struggle with anxiety, and we all have anxiety, right? Come on, be honest. I mean, some is worse than others, but at the end of the day, we're all stressing over something, whether it's paying a bill or an argument with someone. Like we're all sufferers of anxiety. And I think that sometimes, even when I sit here and do my preaching with my preaching stick, I still forget. Like sometimes when I'm in the middle of anxiety, I forget. I forget to break it down, because in the middle of it, it feels so terrible. And what happens is when you're in the middle of anxiety and you can't slow down. Like you can't go sit in the bed for a minute or go sit by a tree a minute and try to break it down because people are pulling in the driveway and all this stuff. You're just sit there and spin in your anxiety because you can't get away by yourself to process it. To go, I need just a minute to go figure out what the crap's wrong with me because I'm broken right now. When you're in the crowd and you have anxiety, you can't just stop. So what do you do? I don't know the answers to this. I need to think about it for a minute. So I'm just talking off the top of my head. But when you have severe anxiety and you don't have a second to break it down, what do you do? Let me think about it for a minute. What do I do when I'm having anxiety and parents are pulling in the driveway and the bus is pulling in the driveway? I think this is what I do, is recognize it. The first thing you do is recognize it and go, this does not feel good. So when you recognize your anxiety, that is dancing, because you're moving in the right direction. You're not staying on the struggle bus. You're trying to take the steps off the struggle bus to get on the double Dutch bus. You got me? So basically, when you recognize it, it brings awareness to what's happening to you. That is what I do. And I think part of healing is recognizing what you're doing. You know, when you have a lot of negative things going on, you can find yourself drowning in that negative thought. What if you replaced the negative thought with, what am I supposed to be learning from this? Like, this doesn't feel good. Whatever you're going through, that's just chaos. If you said, instead of sitting here allowing your brain to go to chaos, oh my God, I got to put Dee Dee in the barn. Oh my gosh, the vet's coming. Oh my gosh, the field trip's coming. It's been raining. You know how, like, you say all that in your head and you don't breathe? You're saying it so fast, especially if you're on the phone with someone. You're like, I am so stressed out. I can't get Dee Dee in the barn. Leroy, whatever. And you like say it so fast that you don't take a breath. That is anxiety. So when you recognize it and you replace the anxiety thoughts with, what am I supposed to be learning from this? What? Because you don't have time to break it down, because there's people at your farm. There's people pulling in the driveway. They're not going to quite understand. I'm like, hey, you 17 kids and 17 adults, can y'all give me a minute? I need to break down my anxiety. Like, I can't do that, right? Because there's people sitting in front of me. But I can replace the thought of anxiety and go, what the heck am I supposed to be learning from this? Because there is something to be taught. Because when there's chaos going on and you're like, how do I turn this into a lesson, instead of like having anxiety and going to, like, not just getting on the struggle bus, but when I go to Mars, what do I do when there's people around me and I don't have time to break this down to figure out what is going on with me? Recognize it first. Pause. By pausing, you are recognizing that there is anxiety present in your life. There is, when you recognize it, is when, you know how like I don't know if y'all know this. I guess I have so much addiction in my family that I know, but you know how like in an AA meeting they say the first thing is recognizing that you're an alcoholic. So in an AA meeting, if you've ever been to one, you have to go around the room and say, "Hey, my name is Judy and I'm an alcoholic." I don't know if y'all know that or not. I know that because I've dealt with it a lot with my family. But when you're in the middle of the 12-step program, that's what you have to admit you have a problem. And like when you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic the rest of your life. You're not like free of alcoholic. You always will have that in the back of your head. Anything and not just alcoholic, anything. If you have anxiety, if you struggle with depression, whatever you struggle with, eating disorder, it never, I guess maybe with some people they're healed and never struggle again, but it's never happened to me. I will say that. I mean, I'll do good for a couple of months and think that I'm doing so good. And then all of a sudden I get triggered and it creeps right back up. And then I have to start all over again with my recovery and go, this sucks. My brain is not doing well. And I think that's part of it. And they make you recognize the problem. So they say, my name is Judy and I am an alcoholic. And then they go to the next person. My name is Brian and I'm an alcoholic. So I think when you have anxiety and is recognizing that there is chaos going on in your head, even depression, recognizing that I am literally a train wreck today. And when you recognize it, it's almost like you kind of laugh at yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, I am like, this is terrible. Like my brain will not slow down. And I am just, when you tell yourself you're on the struggle bus, it's almost like you start kind of, maybe you don't laugh in the beginning, but it's like when you recognize it and you say, my name is Judy and I am a train wreck today because I am letting anxiety ruin my day. So when you recognize it and then you're able to say, okay, God, what am I supposed to be learning for this? Because I am straight up on the struggle bus. It's like when you say that, it almost puts a little giddy up in your step. Because if you called me on the phone and were like, Judy, I'm straight up on the struggle bus, it's almost like there's a little giggle in your voice when you say it, because you have recognized that you're a total train wreck today. And I think that the hardest thing about it, well, even when there's no one around and you have anxiety, I know for me back in the past, when I would do that, I'd want to go to bed and go to sleep. And I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't get out of the bed. I'd stay in the bed all day long. Now, I don't do that anymore, but that's how I used to handle it. Instead of me recognizing it, I'd just go get in the bed and go to sleep. And I would sleep all the time when I had depression and anxiety because I didn't know how to deal with it. I just go to sleep. It was terrible. I know my family probably was, I'd go to bed at 6 o'clock every night. I would sleep all day and then go get in the bed at 6 o'clock and sleep all night long. I was sleep. It was terrible. But I think that when you're in that, I would do that when no one was around, usually. Like, that's how I dealt with my anxiety and depression, is just go get in the bed. But see, when you have students in front of you, and you have parents in front of you, and you have teachers in front of you. You can't just go dismiss yourself and go to bed. Right? So, like, if you're having anxiety about something and you're in the public, you can't just go dismiss yourself and go to bed, because then you got to explain to your friends why you're going to get in the bed, right? So, recognizing it and then saying to your, now this is just when you're where you can't break it down. You have to just recognize it and go, replace the thoughts, the racing thoughts of everything that's bad going on, with what am I supposed to be learning from this? And I've personally, I don't know about you, and I don't know what you do in your daily life, but how, when I talk about you have choices, you can sit it out or dance. What if something terrible is happening to you and you go replace it with feeding the ducks at the park, or paying forward in a drive-through, or visiting the homeless, or sending people some cards to tell them that you're thinking about them, or making a phone call to someone you haven't talked to in a while. What if you replaced it with something positive as a learning lesson to you and the person that's in front of you? Like, what if you were able to share your testimony? Say that you replaced it. You were having terrible anxiety and you wanted to go get in the bed and spend the entire day in the bed, but instead you went to a nursing home and you went up to let's say that you went up to the nurse's station and said, hey, can you point me in the right direction to a person that's here in the nursing home that does not have family that visit them? And the nurse says, yes, it's Mr. Jones over here. Mr. Jones has no family. No one has came to visit him in months. They live out of town and he has no one. So then you take all that anxiety that you're having, you force yourself to go to this nursing home, and you go to meet Mr. Jones for the first time. And you walk into Mr. Jones's room and you say, hey, Mr. Jones, my name is Judy. And I found out that your family lives out of town. And you know what? My family lives out of town too. So I wanted to come start visiting you. Tell me about where'd you work? What'd you do growing up? Are you from Birmingham? Are you from Alabama? Do you have any children? And then this Mr. Jones starts telling you about his life. And all of a sudden, you're over here with severe anxiety because you're worrying about getting your cow in the barn. You're worrying about going to an event, and you dismiss all that to go concentrate on Mr. Jones's life. And you're like, I'm going to make a difference. I don't know how, but I'm going to trust that God has put me right into Mr. Jones's presence for me to make a difference. And suddenly Mr. Jones starts telling you about his children, about what he did when he grew up. And all of a sudden you start seeing a smile come on Mr. Jones's face, because he's remembering the good things about his past, about what he did when he was growing up. And, what's the biggest lesson you would teach kids nowadays that you did when you were wrong, when you were, I can't even talk. What lesson would you teach kids today about staying with your wife for 50 years? That's so awesome that you celebrated your golden anniversary with your wife. What advice would you give me to stick with it and to get through life and all these hard things that I'm going through? What would you tell me to do? And all of a sudden, he's giving you this advice that you've never in your life heard. And he's telling you, well, I remember my grandmother saying this to me. My husband had cheated on me, and not Shane. And I was sharing with her how devastated I was that my husband left me. And my grandmother told me this story. She said, "Sit down, let me tell you about your grandfather." And my grandfather had passed away. And she began to share with me this story about my grandfather used to be an alcoholic. And when he would drink, he would start accusing my grandmother of having an affair. I thought my grandfather was perfect. Like I never saw, like I never knew my grandfather as an alcoholic because he was recovered by the time I was born. So I don't know that side of him. So she began to share with me. I'm like, "Why did you stay with him?" And she was like, "Judy, I can't pull my happiness from him. He was a train wreck." She's like, "I had to pull my happiness and my strength from the Lord." And I'm like, "I don't know how to do that, Meemaw. How do you do that?" And she was like, "I spend time with him every day." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Just like you spend time with your best friend to develop a relationship, you do that with God. You spend time in his word. You spend time in prayer. You look at your blessings. You don't concentrate on all this negative, Judy. You have to know in your heart who you are as a person." I knew I wasn't cheating on your grandfather. So I knew everything that he was saying was not true. So I didn't have to prove my point to him. I knew that alcohol was talking and that wasn't my husband talking, but I couldn't fix his alcohol problem. I'm like, "Why did you not leave him? Like, why did you stay? Explain to me." Because I was thinking in my head, my husband has left me. Am I supposed to leave? Am I supposed to forgive him? And I was listening to her story. So if you were in there talking to Mr. Jones and you say, "Mr. Jones, I've been having terrible anxiety." And Mr. Jones says, "Baby girl, what's wrong with you?" And you say, "I'm stressed because money is killing me." So tell me what you did when you were my age. Did you stress over money? And then Mr. Jones will say, "Girl, you have no idea. Back in the Depression, this happened, this happened, this happened." And you're like, you realize how good you have it because you didn't live in the Depression. So you see how you can take your anxiety and turn it into something good by listening and getting yourself out of your comfort zone. You're like, "Oh, Judy, I would never go to a nursing home and talk to Mr. Jones that I do not know. That is not my personality." Okay, don't go to the nursing home and talk to Mr. Jones. Maybe it's not a person. Maybe it's an animal. Maybe if you go to your local lake and feed the ducks and you sit there and the ducks are not talking back, all they're doing is going quack, 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 quack. And you look at the duck and go, "Duck, I am so depressed. I hate my life. My husband is mean. I'm having anxiety because I can't pay my bills." And you literally sit and talk to the duck. The duck's sitting there going, quack, 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 quack. You'll be surprised at what that duck tells you. Even though you can't understand that duck's language, all of a sudden you're distracted from all your anxiety and you're out there feeding the ducks. And then all of a sudden you notice an injured duck, or you notice a duck is a mama and the duck is over there with her little babies. And all of a sudden, if you stop and see what you're supposed to be learning by sitting there feeding the ducks, if you say, "What am I supposed to be learning?" And you're watching an injured duck trying to survive, or you're watching a mom trying to raise 15 babies by herself, and you begin to notice the blessings that are going on around you, it takes you out of the moment of going, "This day is a nightmare." Oops, I just threw my makeup. You get what I'm saying? If you figure out what you're supposed to be learning from the terrible things that are happening and begin to be a blessing to someone else and quit consuming yourself in negative, even when people are trying to destroy you or trying to rip you into, like say you're in a fight with your sister, or someone says something negative about you, or I don't know, you're in a fight with your spouse. When you get out and go, you know what? Today is a train wreck. I am on the struggle bus and I am just having anxiety and depression like there's no tomorrow. So, what I need to do is recognize that I'm a train wreck, recognize that I'm on the struggle bus, and recognize that you can't get yourself off the struggle bus. Get yourself out of your comfort zone and go do something for someone else. You know, I had a lady send me an email and she said, I haven't seen my grandson in 6 years. And I was like, oh no, why? And she's like, I pissed my daughter off. And I was like, that is awful. That is awful. And I said, you know, when it comes to your children, and if you're a grandparent and have been through this, you're going to get me. When you are, I was telling that lady, I said, you know, you have zero control of your grandkid. It's your daughter and oh, that's so sweet. You have zero control. Your daughter is the boss of your grandkid and you can't control her. But what I suggest you do is there are tons of kids that do not have a grandmother. There are tons of kids that do not have a positive grandmother in their life. You need to ask God to put that person in your life. Go teach Sunday school. You know, go teach Sunday school. Go, you know, maybe your friend has a grandkid that you can kind of adopt and be a positive role model in that kid's life. If you sit it out and sit here and cry and get yourself upset and get yourself anxiety because you can't see your grandkid, you're just going to be miserable. You can't control it. You can't fix it. One day, that kid is going to grow up and see the big picture. They're going to go back when they are able to be old enough to make decisions for this. Let's say they drive. That grandkid is going to see the impact you're making. Like my grandmother's a Sunday school teacher. My grandmother is over the youth. My grandmother takes the youth to Six Flags every year. My grandmother, you know, he or she is going to see the big picture when they get older. Right now, they're young. And I told her, I said, you can't control your daughter. Like, you can't control it. And I know it sucks. It's got to be terrible to not see your grandkid. It's got to be like so painful. But you know what? You can't fix your daughter. If you could, you would have already done it. You can't fix her, but you can fix your brain. You can turn something negative into something positive. Because there are so many kids that would love to have a grandmother. You know? I mean, just the other day when I had that young girl on my farm and she was raised in a foster home majority of her life. You know that Big Sister, Big Brother Foundation? I don't know if that's in every state. But how awesome would it be if you went and volunteered in Big Brother and Big Sister? Basically, what that means is you kind of put yourself in the role of being a big sister. For me, I would go be a big sister, and this kid I would pick up once or twice a month and take them to lunch or take them on a field trip or take them to the zoo and just be a positive influence in their life. And so you've gone from, I hate my life, I never get to see my grandkid, my daughter's a train wreck, blah, 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 instead of sitting and spinning in it, knowing that you can't, I tell you all the time, you can't control other people. All you can control is yourself. So if you begin to volunteer in Big Brother, Big Sister, and go make a difference in somebody's life that's in, let's just say, foster care, that person is going to remember you the rest of their life. You know, as I have kids on my farm that are in the, like, we've had a couple of orphans come here and volunteer, and I didn't really I've never been around anybody that's been in the foster system. I've never been around anybody I've never been around a woman that's been, physically abused by a man. I've never, until I started Sneed's Farmhouse. And I was like, that really goes on? Like, how does it, like, sometimes have you looked, like, say you're driving down the road and there's a man holding a sign that says, "We'll work for food." You're like, how in the heck did that happen? How do you become homeless? Like, how did that happen? Did he not have a mom and dad? Was it drugs? Like, what the heck? I mean, what happened? And I think about, like, when the kids come to my farm, and when they first started coming to my farm and a couple of them were orphans, I was just like, how do you do that as a parent? Like, my brain didn't work like that. And it's hard for me to process that there are orphans right here down the street from me. I had no idea. See, if you take your anxiety that you're having and go figure out your community, go figure out your purpose, go figure out where your community needs you. I promise you, the ducks that are at the lake, that's just, I'm fixing to put this on my lips. Wow, that would have been cute. The ducks at the local lakes where the ducks get dumped off, they need you. They need to be fed. They need to be loved. I can't figure out what I'm doing today. Go figure out your purpose. Figure out how you're supposed to dance. The first step in dancing and making a difference in someone's life is putting on your shoes, getting out of your comfort zone to go make a difference in someone's life. When you sit it out is when you sit here and wallow in your sorrows and go, I'm depressed. My kids suck. I can't see my grandkids. Someone said something bad about me. Hang on. Ooh, this is some bright lipstick. I don't know if I can do this. Woo! I'm not really sure how that's going to work out for me. Sitting it out is thinking, I'm too old. I'm not in good shape. Nobody cares about me. I don't know, all the negative things that you say to yourself. I wish I could do it. You can. You sure can. You sure can. There is a purpose in your life. You are alive for a reason right now. And when you're sitting it out, you're not living your life at the best version of you that you can be. I don't care how old you are. You can always strive to be better. You can always. And being better means quit thinking of yourself. Think of other people. Now, wait a minute. That was wrong. You do need to think of yourself. Because without you and your health, you can't make a difference. So you do need to take care of yourself first. It came out wrong. You know what I'm saying. But so many times in life, we base our attitude and our self-worth off what people tell us. Sometimes, maybe you've listened to negative things about you your whole life. Maybe your family's always been negative about you, or you've always just had negative thoughts about yourself. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. All that negative Nancy stuff that you tell yourself, like those are things that you need to replace those thoughts and go get out of your comfort zone and figure out your purpose. Figuring out your purpose is looking at your community and go, where am I needed? Am I needed in the church? Am I needed in the orphanage? Am I needed in the group home? Am I needed in the hospital? Am I needed in the nursing home? Am I needed in the library to read to kids? Am I like where am I needed? It's taken me a minute to figure out where I'm needed. And you know what? This sounds crazy, but where I was needed was not in my family's life. I realized that I was getting pulled down. I had to go see what I was capable of actually accomplishing because I didn't even know. Honestly, when I got Sneed's Farmhouse, I didn't know what was about to happen to me. In the past couple of weeks, my social media has grown crazy. Like I'm getting 1,000 new followers on Facebook and not that many on YouTube. But there's a big difference in YouTube and Facebook. There are rude comments on YouTube. There are. So it ain't like YouTube is fantastic. No, there's rude people everywhere. There's rude people everywhere. But I have to say that Kayla and I were sitting there talking. I'm like, can you believe how many comments that we have gotten that are absolutely atrocious? Like everything I do, you're yelling at the kids. You're yelling at the kids to hush, and then you're asking them questions. I cannot believe that Kayla is scratching that pig's belly without gloves on. Like everything is critiqued. And for the longest time, I've told you guys, I read every comment. If you take the time to comment, I'm going to take the time to read it. But I have to tell you that right now, I am not strong enough to read all these negative comments that come at me. I'm not. It's terrible. And Kayla said, since basically Kayla's become a character on social media, she's like, it's refreshed my mind to humanity because there's so many people that have been so sweet to Kayla and I. I mean, just like the lady that sent me and Kayla the camera. I mean, how nice was that? People messaging us because they care. People sending gifts and sending donations and sending sweet comments that lift us up and keep us going. There's so many good things. But lately, there has been just as many bad as there's been good on Facebook, not on YouTube. On Facebook, it has been awful. So I'm going to just tell you right now, first of all, when you comment, it helps me grow as a creator, and it helps me, it supports my farm. But I have to be honest, I need a break. I do. I need a break, not from YouTube. I need a break from Facebook. My Facebook has grown. I had I think 37 maybe 1,000 people follow me to 53, like almost overnight. And when you sit here and you have 53,000 people following you on Facebook and 20,000 people following you on YouTube, that's what 73,000 people are following me. So I get 73,000 people's opinion. Opinion about everything. The way I farm, the way I look, the way I carry myself, the way I interact with kids, the way I take care of my animals, the way I interact with my husband, the way I take care of my dad. Do this, don't do this. Blah, blah, blah. It get like, the bigger I get, the more I have to go, what am I supposed to be learning from this? Like, I hate it. Like, I literally hate it. That's when I have to lean on other creators and go, I'm drowning. I am drowning. Judy, quit reading your comments. And I'm like, but that's not the creator I want to be. I don't want to be that creator. But right now, I'm having to. I'm having to go, you know what? I went from 37 to 53, 52, I don't even know what I'm at, 53,000 people. So you got to remember, there's 20,000 people on my Facebook page that has no idea who I am. They have no idea who I am. So it's like when you have a growth spurt like this, it's almost like you got to start all over and go, oh God, my name is Judy. I never dreamt of having a farm a day in my life. Like, I have to start all over, and it feels like, I almost feel like, I mean, I welcome new followers, but it's almost like wearing you out as a creator, because you're like, I got to start all over. I got to start all over. I'm like, can you just go to YouTube and watch all my videos so you can get to know, instead of me telling you, are you judging me over a 3-minute video? Could you please go to YouTube and start from scratch and see how I started? But people don't have time to do that. They don't have time to get to know who I am that way. They want to start current and go forward. And I'm like, can you find out where my roots came from before you start yelling at me? But you know what? We can't control those people that act like that. Like, I can't imagine scrolling through YouTube or Facebook and seeing a reel or a short and going, I cannot believe this farm is doing this, without going, okay, let me pause. Let me go figure out who this person is. Let me watch them. Let me figure out who they are. Instead of, because I swear to you, you know what happens? Everything that I say, it's like I mean one thing and it comes out a totally different way. I don't know if I'm not good at explaining myself. Like, I'm not like, I don't know if maybe I need to go back to school and learn the proper words to say, because obviously my words are coming out not what I mean. And I'm like, obviously I'm not very good at this. Because people are taking things wrong. I'm like, just like I posted the video of Dee Dee, and I said, I'm laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the Guinness Book of World Records is about to come, because we're about to have a 2-headed cow, meaning that Dee Dee had a head and a cow was about to pop out of Dee Dee. So that was my sense of humor. People that follow me, that know me, they know my humor, and they're probably dying laughing at me saying that. But you got to remember, people that are scrolling through Facebook that don't know who I am, they see I said a 2-headed cow, and then they go straight from seeing a video, they go straight to the struggle bus. And they're like, this lady has got this cow that is giving labor, and she's not calling the vet. Oh my gosh, she said a 2-headed calf. So now This mama cow, this person went straight from watching the video straight to the struggle bus. Then they don't stay on the struggle bus. They go to planet Mars. They go to planet Mars and they begin to come up with this story that's not true. I can't see the number. I done lost my glasses. Oh, here they are. There are 170 people on here right now. If you learn nothing else from me, learn not to throw your opinion around on people. And learn that you can't control anybody but yourself. When people start throwing negative things about you and you, or if you're having anxiety, if you wake up in the morning and you're having anxiety, I want you to know what to do with it. I want to teach you by me going through all this. I want this to be for the good. I want all these negative comments that are said to me, I want to use it for good. And using it for good is for me to teach you, number one, you know how your mama, when you were little, she said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. I need you 170 people to do that. Go back to what your mom taught you, your grandmother taught you, your great-grandmother taught you. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And if it's something, a lot of people strongly, like let's say that you're a vegetarian and you're totally against, killing an animal for food. And you're going to stand up and fight for an animal. And you are like, whoever murders an animal, I will not follow them. I will not like you. And that is okay. Like you have the choice to not follow a farm that's like that, let's just say. But it's not okay. It's not okay to start throwing your opinion around, and you know that you can't, if you're a vegetarian, you can't make this world think and be like you. Even though you're a strong advocate of not eating meat, that is okay. There is nothing wrong with you doing that. That is what you believe. That is what you stand. That there is nothing wrong with your beliefs at all. But when you start marching and waving a flag and saying, people that kill animals and eat them are going to hell, you should be sued. When you start screaming your opinion, that's when it's not good. Like, it's okay. Even if you want to teach someone what you believe, there's a tactful way to do it. There's a tactful way to do it. And marching around, screaming and hollering, I don't think if you're in this parade and you're like screaming, don't kill animals and don't eat animals and all this stuff, you're causing a ruckus. In my opinion, you're causing a complete ruckus. It's okay. It's okay to stand up for what you believe. Now, if someone's coming to attack you for your beliefs, that's totally different. But, oh, look at this feather. I don't know how it's in my makeup drawer. But when you cause a ruckus because of what you believe, you're looking like a jackleg. You are. You're not making people want to be like you. When you're not mature and you're not handling it in a professional way, and you're not when you're forcing people to try to believe like you look like a jackleg. Nobody's listening to you. You're just wasting your breath, and you're causing yourself anxiety when you're trying to get people to believe like you. As a person, we have to believe what we believe and be strong about what we believe. But we have to also be mindful that there's other opinions out here and not everyone thinks like us. And when you start hearing people that think differently from you and you begin to attack them, they're never going to believe like you. When you're strong and you're not sitting at the table going, I cannot believe y'all are eating a pork chop. Y'all are just eating, y'all are murdering animals and all this stuff. Like you're at the dinner table with your family and you start saying that and you're the only vegetarian at the table. You look like a jackleg. Eat your vegetables. Don't eat your meat. Believe what you believe, because what you believe is correct for you. But don't judge other people and start throwing your comment and opinion on other people, because you're going to cause an argument and you're going to cause anxiety on yourself. And you're going to cause yourself to get on the struggle bus. And then you're probably going to go to planet Mars and begin to march in a parade to try to say what your rights are. If you are on, if the TV's on, oh my Lord. Oh Lord, it's 10 after 8. I'm going to stop. Check yourself. Check your facts. Ask yourself, is what I'm saying going to help or hurt? How can I turn this into a lesson instead of it being a burden or having anxiety? How can I be smart and use this as a teaching tool without preaching or yelling or screaming or hollering or getting in a fight with someone? How can I turn this around? And I think that you have to ask for help from the person that created you. Because I don't think as a human being, we're strong enough to do that on our own. All right, guys. I hope I said something that makes sense. I hope you go make a difference today. I hope you go find your purpose. Go plug in where you're needed. The animal shelter, they could use your help. Walking dogs. And that way you don't have to communicate with human beings. You communicate with animals if you're not a people person. They could use help, taking dogs out to the bathroom. There's so many things that you can do to make a difference. And if you say, oh, Judy, I can't get off the couch. I have some physical limitations. Oh, yes. There's not that you can get off the couch. You are here for a purpose. You're here for a purpose. There is something that you can do to make a difference. So replace all this anxiety with something positive. And that, my folks, is choices. You can sit it out or you can dance. And this weekend, I hope you dance. I will see y'all. I don't know when I'll see you. I have the meet and greet Saturday. So I don't know if I'll go live. It just depends on how busy we are. Thank you for following my journey. Thanks for all your encouragement yesterday when I had anxiety before the field trip got here. So you helped make a difference in my life too. You helped me dance. I'll see you next time.